What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So on this video here, on this series that I'm doing here on the channel, is going to be dedicated to my 3D prints of all the Mortal Kombat figures that I am doing. So today we are doing this amazing Sub-Zero by Wicked. So I will put their Patreon in the description, so that way if you would like to get this one to print it, you can do so. So the cool thing with this one is that he has two separate stands for his hands. He has this one that's going to have the scorpion head, and then he also has another one where you could put it to where he does have the axe. So I have some special ideas that I want to do for the base on here. Now I do have a paint that will cause an ice effect, well, snow effect. So it's going to be put all around here, right here on this ornament, some on the sides, stuff like that. So now whenever I did print this one here took me approximately 35 hours of print time. So it was 7 hours for so many pieces, but that's including two fails. So the first fail that I had was this one here on the bottom. See, it didn't print all the way like it does have it here on this one, and then tried it again and it went a little bit longer, but ended up ultimately failing again. So on this one, what I did is I just added more supports here on the bottom. After that, it printed flawlessly. So the great thing about Wicked is their STL files do come with supports already for whenever you do print them. So there's almost no sanding needed. So I will go in and just sand whatever little pieces that I do see, and then we will go from there. So stay tuned, this one's gonna be a cool one. So first I start off by sanding any support marks that are left behind. Luckily with Wicked, they have their supports already pre-done, and they put them in pretty good spots, so there's little to no sanding here on this model. Also, the tool that I use here will be in the description. So now all paints and primers do have to be thinned out. This is the thinner that I prefer to use. I do not use water. So we'll start off with giving every piece a good layer of primer. So after all the parts are primered, we can go ahead and pick out all the colors. So now I tried to keep this figure here as closest to MK2's colors as possible. I did have two blues that I did really like, painted those two pieces that failed, and decided to go with the bright blue. I felt that that hit the exact spot for the blue in MK2 bars. So now I can go ahead and start getting started with all my skin tone base coats. Also with this part of the figure, there is a lot of veins and detail in those parts of the arm. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a little trick that I use to go ahead and make those veins really pop so it doesn't look so dull. So first I start with a bright blue, the same as I did for the rest of the costume. So what I do is I get a very, very fine brush and I start to just paint all of those veins that are there. So once all of the veins are painted on to all of the parts that I needed to, I give it a thin coat of some flat flesh skin tone. So with the bright light that I have here in my spray booth, it does give it the effect that I'm putting it on pretty heavy, but once it's dried, I'll go ahead and I'll show you and you can see the veins clear through. So after that is all dried, I go ahead and get another skin tone, just a tad bit darker, so that way I can do some shadows. So now that all the skin tones are done, we can go ahead and move on to the rest of the body. So now when I'm painting these parts right here, I just go ahead and spray all of the body, because everything that's going to be painted black, I'm going to do it by hand, so I'm not too worried about masking off anything else on the torso. Now for masking off the face, for the skin that I don't want to get any blue paint on, that there is just regular silly putty. Also, after looking at the skin tones, I decided to give it one more light coat, just so that way I can get the skin to the color that I wanted it. Now that I am finally satisfied with all the skin tone colors, I can go ahead and start getting the black paint ready, so that way I can do everything that needs to be painted by hand done. So as I mentioned earlier, the Sub-Zero figure did come with two separate hands, one of him holding Scorpion's head and one of him holding that axe. I wanted to be able to use both sets, so I went ahead and painted that axe. Here are all the colors that I used to get that done. Now to move on to Scorpion's head. So to give it a nice base coat, so that way that yellow color can really pop, I first hit it with the base coat of pure pink. Now I know right now it looks a little crazy, he looks like Floyd, but I promise the outcome is great. So anytime you're going to be painting yellow, the best thing to do is give it a nice base coat of pink, so that way that yellow can really shine through. So now as far as the bones, I like to use the burnt sienna paint, and so what I do is I give it a nice coat of that paint, and then what I do is once it's still wet, I wipe it off, and it will give all of that bones a dirty bone effect. Once I'm satisfied with that, now we can move on to the blood. So once all of that stuff is done, we can go ahead and grab us some white paint, so that way we can color in the eyes for Scorpion and also Sub-Zero. Also, while I had that red paint out, I went ahead and colored in that scar on his eye. I didn't go all the way down to the bottom, but I did fix it later on in the video. Now we can move on to the base. So first, what I'm going ahead and start doing is I'm gonna mix some black and some gray, so that way I can give it a dirty concrete color, give that a full coat, and then we can go ahead and start doing all the main details. Again, here are the paints that I use for all the details here on this base. So all the parts here that are painted with the brass are all completely dry brushed. That way it can give that metal the effect of it being worn at spots. So now that the base is almost done, let's go ahead and put the figure on there so that way we can start getting ready to add that snow effect. So the paint that I use for the snow effect, I found this here on Amazon. I will link it in the description. So basically, very easy to use, nothing to mix. Just get it straight out of the bottle and add it to all the places, of course, that you would want that snow effect to be. And just like that, the figure is done. So let's go ahead and turn on all the cabinets so that way we can take some beauty shots. So now with these figures, I do not plan to put a whole bunch of them here on this channel. I did start a sub channel for Wicked Prints. The link is in the description below. I'd appreciate it if you head over there if you like this kind of stuff. Subscribe to the channel, also hit the notification bell. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed.
And now for a taste of things to come.